What knife would you carry if you could carry any knife out there? I asked people who actually have that choice, and this video is about what they said. I took a survey of employees who work at the Smoky Mountain Knife Works, which is the largest knife store in the world. They have pretty much every knife that's made. I asked them, what knife do you actually have in your pocket right now? And what knife do you want to carry if someone would get you any knife out there? This is what I found. First off, before we get into that, I would like to thank my co-stars, the Heretic Manticore X, the Hogue Ritter Magna Cut, and the Benchmade Crooked River. They're providing some set dressing today. Let's get into what I found. So we're going to go through each employee quickly, what they actually had and what they wanted, and then we'll do some overall trends, what brands were the most popular, and then we'll crown at the end which knife was the most popular among people who have access to any knife out there. So the first two employees, between two employees, they were carrying three knives. They were carrying a Schrade SCH-002, a CRKT Pilar, and a Kershaw Leak. Both of these employees, when I asked them what would you have in your pocket if someone bought you anything, they said I would go to the Kershaw counter and I would just pick out something that struck my fancy. Both of them said the same thing. They didn't have a particular Kershaw. They just really liked Kershaws and that's what they wanted. Next employee, I asked, what do you have? He said, I have in my pocket a Spyderco Paramilitary 2. I said, what do you want? He said, a Spyderco Paramilitary 2. I felt like that was quite an endorsement and worthy of a mention. There were two people who said the same thing. What I have in my pocket is my absolute knife that I want. That was one of them. Next employee had a Buck 262 Hexam. He said he wanted a SOG Pentagon XR. Very smooth knife. I played with one after he said that. Very, very nice fidget knife and kind of a nice, desirable, fun knife. Next employee had a Concept Little Main Street, very tiny knife. She wasn't really a knife person. She said I would pick out a Spyderco, but didn't really know which one. The next employee had a Gerber Cattleman. Now this is a knife I couldn't even find a picture of on the internet. It was kind of like this knife. He said, I have a farm. I have this knife simply because it's cheap and replaceable. I lose a lot of knives. He chose a Gerber Fastball as the knife that he wanted. Next employees were over at the Benchmade counter. One of them had a Benchmade Freak in his pocket. He wanted to carry a Marfone Interceptor. That's about a $5,000 knife, but that was what he wanted. Next employee at the Benchmade counter had a Benchmade 4300 push-button automatic. The knife he wanted, a Benchmade 4300 push-button automatic. Also, that's a good endorsement. Felt that was worth a mention. Next employee had a Spyderco Paramilitary 3. Also wanted either a Spyderco Paramilitary 3 or a Benchmade Freak, or a Benchmade Adamas Mini, sorry. One employee had a rather amusing little tiny Rough Rider tadpole. It had a picture of Groot from Guardians of the Galaxy engraved on it. That employee actually wanted a ZT350, a zero tolerance knife, or a Benchmade Freak. That one came up a couple times. Other knives of note, a Cormoran. This knife, I'll put a picture of it. Another employee had a Spyderco Paramilitary 3. Another had a Para 2. One employee had a purple Civivi Elementum. The most amusing employee that I asked was about a 20-year-old girl who was working the checkout. I asked, what are you carrying? She pulled out both a full-sized K-bar and a Gerber strong arm. She was carrying both at the same time. She said, if I'm going to work at a place where knives are everywhere, I might as well carry some big honking knives. Her knife that she wanted was the Gerber LMF fixed blade. So that was the individual knives that people were carrying and what they wanted. The most popular brands were pretty interesting. Gerber as a brand had 2 votes, which surprised me. Benchmade as a brand had 3 votes. Spyderco as a brand actually had 6 votes. By far, the most popular knives among people who have access to any knife they want were the Spyderco paramilitary knives, the Paramilitary 2 and the Paramilitary 3. 2 people were carrying a PM2, 2 were carrying a PM3, and 2 more people said that they would carry a PM3 as their dream knife. So that is what is popular. Again, it's not necessarily my favorite knives, but those are the knives of people who really, really like them. My 2 favorite knives that I carry and like the best right now are probably this one, the Heretic Manticore X, and the Hogue Ritter in Magna Cut. So that was a fun video to do. I hope it is fun to watch. Like, subscribe, do all the YouTube stuff, and have a nice day.